Barak Yahweh Allah. Shalom, righteous family. Welcome back to TRU-TALK. I just want to share my thoughts, just vent to y'all right quick. How old, well, how can I put this? We are only young and grown for about 9 years. Let me say that again. We are only about, we are only grown and young for about 9 years. I notice I didn't say we are only young for 9 years or only grown for 9 years, but we are only young and grown for 9 years. And when you think about, growing up, you always hear the older folks say, time fly. Before you look up, you're going to be old. You're going to look up one day and you're going to be, you know, old with grandkids. That's what I heard an elder lady say one day. She said, one day you're going to look up and you're going to be old with grandkids. And the more and more I live, the more and more I understand when they say life is short. Because we hear that and it's like, okay, life is short. But do we truly know how short life is? When we talk about, as believers, when we talk about we got this little time in space that we can't even really comprehend, this little time and space to live our life a certain way, to live our eternity, which our mind cannot wrap around. This just keep going non-stop and to live out eternity, either in torment or in pleasure. We're all determined on what you do in this little time. And how little is this time? Would you give up this short time of pleasure, have this little short time of pleasure to suffer for eternity? And it's a kind of crazy question because when you serve the Most High, it's not like you live in a miserable, unpleasant life. Matter of fact, I would argue that you have more pleasure, more peace. I understand when Christ said, I give you life and life more abundantly. At one point, I thought that mean more things and a longer life, but I realized it's more understanding, more wisdom, more peace. You when you have those things, your life is abundant. You understand things better. You can enjoy life better. But how short is this life that we live? Because we talk about time speeding up and how time flies. And just sharing my thoughts, I was thinking about it. And I would say, you know what? As humans on this planet, we only young and grown for about 9 years. We have a short time to live on this earth and a short time to be young and be free on this earth. And I'm going to clarify what I mean about that because, not only to mention that most people die young. So we ain't, we ain't even seeing people live out a fully functioning life. Either they die young or they end up crippled, poor, unhealthy in the nursing home for the last remainder of their days. So, be thankful if you able-bodied right now, because you don't know how high of the percentage of people, young and old, that are not able-bodied. So it's the little things that we overlook and don't be thankful for. But this world tell us that you're young, what, in your 20s, right? And when you get in your 30s, what, you grown, it's time to start living. That's when you kind of, even though you're still young, like me personally, I believe you're young until you at least 65. If you in good health, you know, you may be older, but you still young and able, until you hit that 70 and up mark. That's when, I consider you kind of old. But nevertheless, you got people that's 70 that's moving like they in their 30s. So it's how you keep up with yourself. I be seeing videos of dudes be like, man, I'm 32 and my knees hurt. And I be like, man, what type of life you live? Your knees don't supposed to be hurting and bending at 32. But I'm gonna break it down, and I may not have this completely right, but this is how I'm thinking. You're born, right? You call a newborn. Everybody know about a newborn baby, doesn't? She got a newborn. You are a newborn baby for about, I'm gonna say 3 months. For 3 months, you are a newborn. For 4 months up to, let's just say, a year, you are considered an infant. You're not a newborn, but you're an infant, you know. And then from an infant, from 4 months to a year to your infant, from a year to 3 years. Let's just say from being 1 year old to 3 years old. No, I'm gonna break it down from being 1 year old to 2 year old. You are a baby. You still are considered a baby. Still getting poppy trained, learning how to talk, the terrible tools. And this is still the growing state, the baby state, the learning state where a lot of these you don't you may have little memories here or there, but you don't remember the full, everything that happened at these age. So you go from being a baby, from one to about two, from two to about, let's just say, five, 2 to 5, you're a toddler. You are considered a toddler. Okay, from 5 to, let's just say, 9, you are considered kids. You are just a kid, a little kid. And, we all remember 10. I think 10 was the age, the, one of the only few ages that a lot of us couldn't wait to be. It just sent like a milestone. I'm in double digit now. But from 10 to about 13, you are a boy or a girl. You're a little boy, you're a little girl. You're not a newborn, you're not an infant, you're not a toddler, you're not a baby. You are a little boy, a little girl. Cute little boy, cute little girl. Bad little boy, bad little girl. Excuse me. However you want to look at it. So that's from 10 to 13. And then from there, you become what they consider your teen years. Now you start to being looked at as not just a little girl, little boy, but uh, 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 that's the word I'm looking for. A big boy, a big girl, a teenager. You can start, you know, you doing band, you at school, you're doing sports activity, you can make more of your decisions, careful decisions. Your parents trust you more. And you be a teenager to about 13, let's just say to about 16 or 17. And speaking of that, that's what make, when y'all dudes be in y'all 20s and 30s, and y'all be going with these young females that's 15 and 16, it's really sad. It's a bad look. It shows that y'all can't get nobody your own age because these are our young teenagers that hadn't matured yet, and they think it's cool. They think they're cool dating an older dude, and they're fascinated by your car. And because you got a job, you can take them out and get them, pizza or pizza night. But someone your age, someone that's in their 20s and 30s, they're not impressed by your little car. They know that you're supposed to have a car. That's what a man do. A man should have a car. And they're not impressed by your little chum chain. They're not worried about if you can take them out on date night. They worry about can you pay some bills around here. So you're really taking advantage and preying on big kids that hadn't fully grown up yet, that don't really got a grasp on life, and for the females too. I know the young dudes when they 15 and 14, they going through puberty and getting their little facial hair and their bone structure, and they, may be handsome, and but leave them alone. Let them grow up. Let them have their childhood. All predators. Leave the young children alone. And it's even more sickening when you go lower than that. But even that age is criminal and sick. So I think 17 is another milestone for a lot of young people because you're not fully grown, but you have a lot of responsibility. And that's another milestone because at 17, sadly, if somebody, you can date somebody your daddy age because in some states you consider legal, but you can't buy alcohol or enter the club. That's telling. So 17, a lot of people love 17 and 18 because this is a time around graduation. This is a time where a lot of us are getting our driver license for the first time. Uh, but we still not old enough to buy alcohol. We still not old enough to go into clubs. We still being asked for our IDs. And if you tell somebody, they ask how old you is, and you say I'm 17 or 18 or 19, usually they say, oh, you just a young boy. You still got milk around your mouth. And you're not considered an adult, even though you're I don't know, I guess a big teenager, maybe considered a young adult. Well, I ain't gonna say young adult. You're just a teenager, and you're still figuring things out. And at this age, you still ain't got a grasp on stuff. You still ain't got to really pay bills. A lot of people graduate and go to college. I think what college lasts for like 4 years if you want to do the whole term. So, and college is just young teenagers being unsupervised. They get to go to another state and stay in an apartment by themselves. It's kind of get them a feel of being grown and getting on their own, and also supposed to be somewhere they can get an education. But usually, when mama not home, daddy and mama not home, the children will play. So a lot of partying and drinking, and unfortunately, a lot of young women and young men get sent off from home at that age, and they be innocent and pure. And then that's, when I hear a lot of stories, that's when most young teenagers started drinking and smoking weed and uh, lost their virginity and, and just got into a whole bunch of mess partying and doing things they shouldn't be doing, even popping pills, yeah, a lot of, because they're young and they really not to be let out. And even at that age, you got people still preying on them, people still ready to manipulate them, and they really don't know fully, they just happen to experience everything. They just excited young adults with hormones. So 17, 18, 19 is a pre area like, okay, you're not grown, you're still young, but you need to start thinking and acting like you're grown, you know. And then, of course, 21. 21, that's another big milestone for a lot of us. Now you finally is considered a young adult. You finally is considered an adult, but you young. But they don't hold it against you. When you're 19, 20, and 17, you still too young. You still a baby. But once you hit that 21 more part, you're young, but you're not a baby. Anything goes. Now you can buy alcohol. You can get in clubs. We all remember at that age, we just felt like, whoa, we grown now. We can order rated R movies, when they ask our ID, we quickly throw in our ID, Uh, excuse me, I think you can go to the army before you're 21. Yeah, you go to the army around about 17 or 18. But nevertheless, when you're 21, you grown now. You're grown, but you're young. You're young, but you're grown. And let's see, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. That's about 8, 9 years of you in your 20s. When they live it up, you young, you in your 20s, party, party, party. Have a good time. And 9, 10 years fly by. 8, 9 years fly by. And before you know it, you 29 and you at the door of 30. And we all know the talk around 30. Once you hit 29 and you know you about to be 30, it's almost like most people have a midlife crisis because all our life we've been told 30, you grown. You you're not even though you're young, people are not looking at you as a young adult. They just looking at you as a grown up. I'm gonna say you a grown up that's young. And then of course when you get 30, the only next stop is 40. 5 years, you'll be 35 after that, and then another 5 years, you'll be 40. And then you're talking about, another 5 years, you're 45, and you realize you the age of your aunties and nieces. How old are your our aunties and nieces? You the same age as an auntie, and by that time, you probably is an auntie, or you done had children, and your sibling done had children. And before you know it, you looked up and you're 50 years old and you're like, where the time go? And you know how this world is. They expect for that when you get at least about 35, They expect for you to have a career, have a job, have a house. Why are you supposed to have that when while you're in your 20s, they expect for you to be having fun and getting it all together? I guess what they mean. You young, so be able-bodied and work. So when you get in your 30s, you can have everything together. I don't see the logic in that. The responsibility, and you supposed to have a house and a car and a career and all this at the age of 35 and all that. That's an unrealistic goal that this world has set on us. And the Most High way is better. It's straightforward. You can be as grown as you want to be. You don't leave your mom and daddy house until you get married. So you help out your mom and daddy and you live with them and y'all build together. And then when a man is capable and want to take you as a wife, then you leave your mother house and he leave his mother house and y'all join together and start a family. And there's not an age limit on that. But in these society, as soon as you're 18, 19, they want to throw you out. Get out my house. Get a job or whatever the deal. And this is not going right. There's different ways to look at this. Some kids don't go to college. Some kids go to college for 4 years. Some kids stay home, get a job, get their own apartment, a little car, whatever. Uh, people lives are different in every way. What we feel and go through a lot of the same things. But yeah, I was just thinking about that, and I was like, during the baby years and the infant, you just a kid. You really don't know nothing. You had those memories as a kid, when you 10, 11, 12, and have the memories of becoming a teenager. If y'all was like me, I had a face full of acne, and I had one hair growing out my chin. And I was like, look, y'all see that one hair? And there was one little curly hair growing out my chin. But my face was a mess. I've tried every cream. It wouldn't help. Uh, add crutches on female crushes. I talk to a female, I get nervous, my arms will start sweating. I didn't have no pops to teach me how to talk to a young lady. But yeah, I had a couple females that said I was cute or whatever, and you know, but nevertheless, you grow up and you experience life, and uh, in your teenage years, in those years where you're young and you ain't really gotta get a job, but you want a job because you want to be able to take a young female out. You want to help mama out. You about 15, 16. Graduation coming up. You 17, you got your driver license, you can drive now, but you still considered just a teenager. You consider, kind of like a young adult, a young adult that hadn't, it's not grown yet. And they'll tell you, they'll say, boy, you still got a lot to learn. Girl, you still got a lot to learn. And excuse me. But yeah, around that age, 16, 17, probably had your first little crush, your first love. Some of y'all was a little fast and grown, so y'all probably was a little earlier. I'm just kicking the bobos with you. But yeah, but when you think about it, you're not considered fully grown until you're 21, and that's when everybody kind of put their hands off you and say, okay, you can make your own decision now. And you're young and you're grown. But that only lasts for, like I said, about 8, 9 years. In your 20s, your 20s is the only time where you get to be young and grown. And then boom, your 30s. And once you hit your 30s, then it starts at 39. Once you at 39, you thinking, uh-oh, do I got a house on the hill? Do I got my car? Do I got my stuff together? And you start thinking about life more serious because at 30, you just grown now. Everybody says, you grown. I ain't got no business trying to help no grown person. You should have yourself together by now. But even though that's not true, I know plenty of people that's 70 is still struggling. You know what I'm saying? That's still need help. Life still be life, and so because you get older, you know, uh, it don't get easier. Now you should get wiser, and you should make better decisions, and it should get easier. But a lot of people they grow old but don't grow up. But nevertheless, I want to hear y'all thoughts. How do y'all feel? Do y'all feel like that in this little short period of life, we only get to be grown and young for about 9 years? Before that, we're children, we're teenagers, and we're young. But to be grown and young, it's basically when you in your 20s. And then, like me, I'm in my 30s, my early 30s. Uh, up, nope. Uh, uh, Getting to be in my mid 30s. But nevertheless, uh, before I go, I just want to tell this story. I think that was about, it was a few years back. I was 30 years old, and I met this young lady. She was 27, and she asked how old I was, and I told her, I was 30. You know, most people say I sound young and I look young. Uh, y'all know black don't crack, but you know, all praise to the Most High. I try to take care of myself also. I uh, try to eat healthy and learn how to, glorify the Father by taking care of what He gave us and treating it right. Uh, and sadly, I learned that, you know, in my late 20s, about 28, 29. That's when I really start taking my health a little bit more serious. But and I think that's just for everybody, because you, you're not getting, you're not getting no younger. I tell everybody, when you in your 20s, you really don't jog or work out. Now you got those that do, but the ones that you see jogging and working out, those are your 30s and 40 years old. Those are people that say, okay, I gotta take care of myself. I'm getting up in age. So yes, when you in your 30s and 40s and 50s, you still supposed to be able-bodied. You still supposed to be able to move. That's why they say take care of yourself. If your knees hurting and your back cracking and and you just 32 or 33, then you hadn't been taking care of yourself. Even if you're in your 40s and you having issues like that, you ain't been taking care of yourself. Um, what I was saying, oh yeah, this young lady, she was like, oh, you 30. She was like, oh, you old. She was like, my sister also 30. You the same age as my sister. I always call her old. She was like, you old too. And I'm like, how old you is? And she was like 37. I mean, she was like 27. And I told her, I said, you act like you 17 or something. I said, Don't worry, I done been there. Said, just keep living. She looked at me, huh? I said, just keep living. Now, like I said, that's been a couple of years ago. I hadn't seen her no more. But right about now, she probably 31, 30. And I wonder, do she see herself as old? Because I'm like, those 3 years, you 27, those 3 years gonna fly by. Before you know it, you gonna be 30. Then we're gonna see how old 30 is then. So yeah, I don't call people old no more. I respect people to know that we are older and we all getting older. Even if you're 14, you getting older. When I hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm getting old," I say, "We all getting old." And that's true. We all getting old. We all getting older. But I don't consider nobody old, like I said, unless they in their mid 70s to 80s and 90s. Then I can say, okay, you old. That's when I really let that word come out my mouth, respectfully. But like I said, it's all about how you take care of yourself. I'm always gonna respect my elders, and I'm gonna respect people in general, even people that's younger than me. I say yes sir and no sir, and yes ma'am and no ma'am. And they be like, don't say that. I'm not old. Or, you older than me. I say, it ain't got nothing to do with age. It's got to do with respect. And I want you to know, even as you're young, that you deserve respect and you should be respected. Young lady. To me, I'm gonna call you ma'am. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to put that precedent out there. First of all, I'm not one of these Negroes that's just looking at you in that way. I respect you. I see you as a person. And the same thing with, uh, the young Hebrews that I be dealing around. I want them to know, yeah, I call you sir because I respect you. And, one day you're going to be called. Other people going to call you sir. But I'm calling you sir now because I give you respect now because you give me respect. And we respect each other. But yeah, as the scripture says, rise up before those that got gray hair. Respect your elders. You know, respect people older than you, and I gotta look at that word elder because I think elder just means somebody older than you, right? So it can be somebody 1 year, 2, 3 years older than you. Uh, Basically, what I'm saying is we all young for just a short period of time, and we all getting old, and we all need to get our minds right and consider because this little short time that we have on this earth, thanks the Most High for the good memories, the bad memories, the good days, the bad days. Thank Him for waking us up, giving us a chance to be able to get it right because I know too many, you know, in my teen years and in my early young adult years that ain't here, laid up on the dirt. How they say forever young. But nevertheless, life is really short. And we not put on this earth by ourselves. We need each other. We need each other wisdom. We need each other's love. We need each other support. We need each other strength. And most of all, don't waste this little short time having pleasure. And that pleasure, because I know it's going to come with a lot of drama and pain and confusion and hurt, only to end up eternity forever being punished for your little short time on this earth, having pleasures that don't come nearly close what the Most High is able to give us. When I started serving the Most High and He finally, that peace came over me, then I stopped worrying about certain things. And I really grew up and became a man, as the apostles wrote. I put childish thing behind me and became a man. Man, it was like graduating. It was a moment to be remembered. You know, when you realize that you're a child of the Most High. In this world, we just pilgrims passing through. In this world, even who that was? That was Jacob. Jacob lived to be 100 and something years old. And when they went to Egypt, and the Pharaoh asked him about his life after living to be 100 and something years old, to see his kids have kids. He says, my life been troubled and few. Even he understood that even though I lived these 100 and something years, I believe it was, he's saying that these days are still few. It's still, I was only young for a short period of time. My days been few. I hadn't lived that long, and I had many troubles in my days. So we're going to have troubles, and the days are going to be few. Our life is going to be few. And these troubling and few days that we have on this earth, choose life. Choose righteousness. You can't go wrong. You won't go wrong. It's not just a belief. It's in our DNA. It's who we are. We meant to show love and feel love and do right. When you do what's right and good, it make you feel good. It make you feel right. You know you in line with the Father will. And we all know that law that I believe everybody kind of believe in, that they call karma. The streets will call it reaping what you sow. Other people like to say what you put out, you get. It's power in the tongue. Let's live forever, ladies and gentlemen, because we only young and grown for about 8, 9 years, a short period of time. But as always, let Yah be true and every man a lie. Till next time, Shalom.